Hello, everybody. Good morning to all. Ohayo gozaimasu. Yes, okay. Hope everyone's having a great day so far. Okay, so typically whenever I do these chapter reviews, I sort of have to pretend that I haven't already read the chapter. For the sake of entertainment, I'm like going through the chapter like, wow, I don't know what's gonna happen next. Whoa, Saturn's a spider? Didn't see that coming. You know, I break it every now and then for the sake of just like, all right, I already knew what was going to happen, so here's my analysis of it. But in this one particular instance, I gotta immediately give you my reaction to the end of this chapter. It really is that significant for the One Piece world, okay? And it's a pretty simple reaction. It pretty much just boils down to, whoa, boy, howdy with a side of butter. Holy crap. Oh, well, I guess we know what the big event that's gonna shake the world is gonna be now. We were thinking too small with this, honestly. I mean, I saw a lot of theories on what that could be. I had a lot of theories on what that could be, but woo! Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's yeah! Okay, all right. So anyway, I don't know what's going to happen in the chapter, guys, but let's get into it. One Piece chapter 1108 titled, Attention World! Exclamation point to end all exclamation points. The ultimate exclamation point. All right, well, One Piece is on the cover of Shonen Jump this week. It's pretty cool. Luffy's gear fifth. He's about to punch the audience or give you a fist bump, the ultimate fist bump, as it were. The cover spread is really cool. So it's Robin, Nami, Uta from the movie Film Red, Tashigi, Reiju, and Boa, alongside some Yorkies, some Yorkshire Terriers. They're very adorable doggos. But anyway, they're hanging out on a couch and just having some rosé wine, I guess. I believe this is in collaboration with the One Piece heroine story. In the One Piece magazine, which has like an irregular release schedule, it's not really anything specific. I don't know when the next one's coming out. But they do short stories and kind of like light novels that are, well, they're like chapters of light novels that are then added to like a actual novel later. Like the Law light novel started in the One Piece magazine and then it became its own thing later on. So then there's One Piece Heroines, which I believe is going to be released in its like actual light novel format soon, which focuses on the women of the One Piece world. So it's a really great cover spread. The one thing I gotta bring up, though, is I think Reiju has maybe had a little bit too much wine, because Reiju is like, you know, grabbing Tashigi and kind of coming on to her a little bit there. I mean, it's like, I mean, there's really no other way to interpret that. Reiju is like, Tashigi's sitting down on the couch, Reiju's behind the couch, kind of like grabbing her face and like sticking her tongue out, and it's kind of a little erotic. I'm just saying, I don't know if that's implying anything for Reiju's character or Tashigi's character, but it's there. Uta and Nami are having a great time, though. They're on the other side of the couch like, yeah! So, fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so we continue right where we left off last chapter, and I'm really happy we're doing that, because last chapter we had Van Augur and Katarina Devon leaving Egghead after they had, you know, copied Saturn's appearance with Katarina's Kitsune mythical zone. So they're getting ready to leave, and they're walking away, and Caribou runs up to them, noticing, like, this is his one chance to not only get off the island because everything's blowing up and he's probably gonna die. Well, he's a Logia, so it's a thing where it's like, if you're a Logia, would you even be afraid of a buster call? I mean, yeah, it's not fun, but he's not gonna die. He could just turn into mud, you know? But anyway, he's running up because he's also a big fan of Blackbeard. Just like Bartolomeo is a huge fan of Luffy and the Straw Hats, Caribou is apparently a huge fanboy of the Blackbeard Pirates. So he's running up to them. He's just like, hold on, guys. Hold on, Mr. Van Augur and Lady Katarina Devon, you know, serial killer of women. Anyway, yeah, I want to go with you guys. I love Teach, and he's a great dude, and I've always wanted to meet him and get his autograph. Oh, please, please take me with you. And Augur, I mean, he's an overworked guy, but Augur is pretty smart, so he immediately takes out his rifle, and he has the reaction I kind of thought he was going to have, which is like, who the hell are you? Get away from us. You know, he points the rifle right at Caribou, and he recognizes him. He knows who he is. Augur's a smart dude. He's paid attention to the up-and-coming, you know, rookies in the world, and remember, Caribou was a rookie. He was a super rookie at Sabaody when we first met him, okay? So, like, Luffy and Bonnie and everybody and Blackbeard himself are members of the worst generation 2 years ago, but every year a batch of rookies arrive at Sabaody. It's just that Luffy's generation was the worst. But the generation before Luffy was Cavendish. He showed up, and he was a big super rookie. And then the 2 years went by, and then Caribou, along with some other ones, were also the super rookies, okay? There's a lot that showed up in the worst generation. There were 11 supernovas at Sabaody. That's an unusually high number. That doesn't typically happen every year. Maybe like a couple, maybe 2, 3, 4 rookies will show up at Sabaody. But so he does have some notoriety for himself, so Augur would know about him. I think Caribou's bounty is well over 200 million, so at least it's something to, you know, he'll recognize him, right? So he's like, look, this is wet-haired Caribou, and yeah, he might be a pirate, but this is also a government island we're on, so he's being very cautious. This guy could be a deep cover agent. They could have captured him and convinced him to work for the government. This guy could be undercover cipher pole or something, right? And he mentions, you know, there's no shortage of people in the world that want to assassinate our captain, Blackbeard. You know, Marshal D. Teach, he has a very high bounty. In fact, Blackbeard's bounty is almost close to rivaling Shanks. So it's a pretty high bounty, and so Caribou's like, no, you don't understand. I'm not working for the government. I'm not working for the Straw Hats. And by the way, if you kill me now and you don't bring me to Blackbeard, he's gonna have all of your heads. He's gonna be pissed at you. So, okay, Caribou he knows how to finagle. He's good at persuasion, all right? I'm gonna roll that persuasion check and see where it ends up, okay? So Augur is there with the rifle, like with his sights set right on Caribou, and this is Augur we're talking about here. You know he can punch a sea prism bullet or a hockey bullet through Caribou's eyes, like between his eyes at like 3 miles, and so he's like point blank right here, so he's not gonna miss, all right? But anyway, he's like, and why is that? I'm listening. And Caribou's like, okay. Now, here's the thing, though. Caribou doesn't actually tell them about the ancient weapons right here. He just says, I have valuable information, and he's gonna want to know it, and it's kind of hard to come by. And internally, we now have a dialogue from him inside of himself, like an internal monologue, where he's like, yes, I have information on the ancient weapons. Yes, first we have Shirahoshi, the mermaid princess, living at Fishman Island, who is also, in fact, the ancient weapon Poseidon. And then there's Pluton, the great battleship, sleeping underground in Wano. I'm the only person that knows of both, other than those straw hats, of course. So he's actually very smart to not just tell Augur this right away, just to blurt it out, because if that's the case, he's just played his hand, and it's like, I know stuff about Poseidon, and I know stuff about Pluton. Here it is. And then Augur would just be like, that is very important information. Teach would want to know this, and then Katarina would probably be like, good of you to tell us. It's a good thing we ran into you here. And then Caribou would be like, gee, shucks, thanks. So can I join the... And then Augur would have probably just shot him, because it's like, all right, well, we have the information we needed, so... Anything else you want to tell us? Oh no, that's pretty much all of it. Boom, dead, you know? So, you know, he knows how to manipulate. He knows the kind of how to play the game here. If nothing else, he knows how he would have responded in this situation. He would have probably let the person give him information and then suffocate him with the mud power. So he's probably like, all right, I'm not going to play my hand right away. I will tell Teach this information, but you got to bring me to him first. And so he says, bring me to the Commodore and I'll give that information up free of charge, and I'm sure he'll be pleased. Just take me with you. I know I can be of use. And Augur and Katarina, they don't really respond. We don't see their response in this chapter. You know, Augur still has his sights set on him. Katarina just kind of like, you know, so they're obviously going to agree to it because this is what Caribou's whole character arc has kind of been leading to, gathering all this information in the background while Robin was talking to Neptune at Fishman Island and talking to Sukiyaki at Wano with Law and everybody like that. So this is obviously, he's not just going to shoot him and, you know, call it a day. They're going to go back to Hachinosu and meet Blackbeard, and this is going to be a big thing. So this is where Caribou's character was leading to, guys. You had the opportunity to kill him. You know what I was thinking the other day? You didn't even need to kill him. Not really. You could have just left him at Wano. No, seriously, you could have. Because here's the thing. What do you think happened with all of the members of Kaido's crew that did not die during the battle at Onigashima? They got thrown in the Udon prison. We saw Queen there, we saw King there. Yeah, Aramaki showed up and kind of turned it into a botanical garden, so it looks very nice now, but they're still all there, right? And the whole point is that Momonosuke is not going to be as cruel of a shogun as Orochi was. So Momonosuke is not going to have the policy of like, round up all of Kaido's men and kill them, you know, that's not going to be Momonosuke as the shogun, right? So I'm just saying, you could have kept Caribou in the prison, chained up with Sea Prism Stone, which they have copious amounts of. It's Wano, for God's sake. It's where it's mined from. So it's like, just keep him there. Honestly, he's probably going to be treated better than the time when Kaido was keeping him in the prison. You know, now he might try to like manipulate the guards or something, but I feel like the samurai, the red scabbards, yeah, that was their name. Oh my God, did I forget the 9 red scabbards? I'm like, wait, what was that team of samurai back from Wano? You know, Kawamatsu was part of them. Raizo, I blanked on the scabbard's name for a moment. I don't know what that says about their staying power in One Piece. They were so important to the story for so long, and I blanked on their name. Anyway, the scabbards would have treated the criminals like okay, like they wouldn't have like cruel and unusual punishment, but they would have also made sure they didn't escape. You could have just left Caribou there. Now maybe you could argue, well, Caribou gave Luffy food during the fight with Kaido, so they owed him a favor. Screw that. They don't owe this guy a favor. Did you see that kind of disgusting shit? He was trying to like kidnap all of the mermaids at Fishman Island. Jinbei was at Wano. Jinbei would have been like, Jinbei really should have looked at everybody and be like, this guy he's a criminal. He's a bad person. He's not a good guy. All right, we should probably just leave him here in the prison in Udon and Wano. That would probably be that's where he needs to be, honestly. All right, you know, because like after the Straw Hats left, he was going on this mermaid kidnapping spree. Jinbei beat the shit out of him, brought him over to G5, and that's where his cover page took off, and he was able to escape after that. He led a revolution for a brief time, and then Drake beat the shit out of him and dragged him to Udon. But yeah, I think they should have been like, yeah, Caribou helped you out with food and everything, but no, he deserves to be in prison like 100% for the stuff he did, okay? So leave him here, okay? But whatever. They didn't even need to kill him. They could have just left him in Wano, but whatever. Okay, so we're cutting back now to the shores of Egghead. The Mark IIIs are now back on the side of the good guys because Bonnie now has supreme hierarchy control, and so they're just bombarding marine ships. Even the bigger marine battleships are getting destroyed, and they can't really destroy the Mark IIIs that well because they have the bubble shields that can completely repel cannon fire, okay? So they're even more efficient than a battleship, really. So they're like, all right, pull all the ships back from the shore. We need to reassess some shit. This battle is flip-flopped like 3 different times. We need to assess our battle plan here. We're Marines, damn it! So we get the names of all of the Vice-Admirals that arrived for this battle. We already knew a few. We knew Doll, because she was introduced earlier. We know about Bluegrass. She has the power of the Ride Fruit, which I still got to make a video about, because it's a very interesting power. Doberman we already knew about. He was one of the Vice-Admirals that showed up way back during Ennie's Lobby, and he was at Marineford. And we had Red King. That was the jowls, the chin guy that we saw last time. So we have Bluegrass here, and then we also have Vice Admiral Hound. Hound was the Vice Admiral I initially mistook for Kadar. Kadar was the Vice Admiral, or he was the Rear Admiral back in the day, and he fought against the Sun Pirates, and he had a pair of glasses, and Vice Admiral Hound also has a pair of glasses, so I was assuming they're kind of similar looking, like, oh, maybe it was Kadar that was promoted, but no, I'm pretty sure Kadar's dead. I think Arlong or, the Sun Pirates might have killed him there, but it was kind of left ambiguous. But anyway, Hound brings up a very interesting thing. They say it'd be unprecedented, but is there any chance of calling off the Buster Call for now? I'm also not sure of Hound's gender. I'm not really sure about that, so I'm just going to use like they. But anyway, yeah, they bring up ending the Buster Call. And this is something to address because they say unprecedented, like it's never happened before. And the idea is that way back in Enies Lobby, it was talked about, like, once a Buster Call is summoned, that's it. There's no going back from that. That's why I did not like the ending of Stampede. I mean, the One Piece Stampede was not one of the best movies. It was more of just like a big action scene or whatever. But because Bullet was not, I'm a big tough guy that's gonna beat you up and I'm gonna turn into a giant kaiju, you know, but whatever. I mean, it was a fun movie to watch in theaters, but like, you know, it wasn't one of the better One Piece movies. But I really hated the end of that movie where there was a Buster Call summoned on that island. And then at the end of the movie, it's almost like a throwaway thing where it's like, Admiral Kizaru, end the Buster Call, please! And Kizaru's like, yeah, okay, sure. Which, by the way, as we learn now, I don't think Kizaru would have ended that Buster Call. But, like, the fact that you could just like, all right, everybody, call it off now. So that was a movie. That was non-canon. In the context of the manga, once a Buster Call shows up, you're not stopping the Buster Call, all right? And so Hound is even bringing up, though, like, this is a little bit unusual circumstances, and this has never happened before. But maybe we should call off the Buster Call. Maybe having a military engagement that cannot be rescinded for any reason is maybe not a good idea. You know? So Hound's probably going to die next. But anyway, next we have Vice-Admiral Guillotine. Guillotine, yes. He is the Vice-Admiral that has the long beard that has like the streak of white in the beard. He also has like a chakram thing embedded in his head. So he literally takes like this chakram and like throws it. We saw him like that's how he fought earlier. And like the chakram like comes back and he like puts it in his head. So he's Vice-Admiral Guillotine. So that's pretty cool. Vegapunk himself gave that pirate the authority to command the Pacifistas. So there's no way we could stop them now, right? And so then we have Doberman coming up, and Doberman's like, all right then, men. Well, we know Jewelry Bonnie commands all of the Pacifistas, so we just got to eliminate her, and then we'll have command again, all right? So now it's another game of playing command hierarchy with the Pacifistas. So now they're all targeting Bonnie, which, you know, maybe a reason why Vegapunk did not want to tell her, and we later find out in the chapter Vegapunk wanted to tell Bonnie about this when she was much older, because now the Marines know about this, and she has supreme command over all the Pacifistas in their armada. She's going to have a way higher bounty, and they're going to be coming at her trying to kill her now, even more so than they were before, okay? So there is a practical reason why Vegapunk did not tell her earlier, all right? Although I will say, I mean, like, earlier in the sense of, like, when everything was kind of okay, like, after the Seraphim battle had ended and it looked like everything was going to be all right for a little bit there. But when shit was starting to hit the fan and then the Marines started blockading the island, I think Vegapunk probably should have told her at that point. So anyway, they know where Bonnie is heading. They know Bonnie is with Frankie and Atlas and Kuma, and they're all heading to the northeast section of the island. And so we have to eliminate her, and then that's where we get Vice-Admiral Beardsley. I love this dude. Big, giant guy, rippling muscles, built like a Sherman tank, and an epic beard, all right? And his name is Tosa. I like this man. I think he might be one of my favorite Vice-Admirals, like, that's not dull. But yeah, Vice-Admiral Tosa! Okay, so he just starts barreling towards Bonnie and just like, don't worry guys, I have her in my sights. I'll eliminate her. I'm Vice-Admiral Tosa. And so he's just like, hut, hawk, hike! And he just starts running and he charges up his hands and he goes hockey and he goes, this is my special 10-barrel finger gun. The 10-barreled Shigan. I can rip apart armor with this. So it's actually a really cool scene, and it's a really cool spread where Bonnie is on top of Frankie. Frankie and is using like the Dom shoes to like hover, and they're trying to escape. And so Tosa just kind of like jumps up behind them, and he has his hands like this. And dude, that's actually kind of terrifying to like have armament hockey on these giant, big, meaty fists, and then have Shigan all at once. Like I'm picturing this guy like actually going up to like a tank or a battleship and just like ripping apart the armor plating like it was cray paper, okay? That is actually kind of a devastating move if it was able to, take off. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. Its name is Tosa Crunch. My favorite cereal is Tosa Cinnamon Crunch. Oh, man. Unfortunately, Tosa gets defeated quite handily, where a giant axe comes out of nowhere and just pounds him into the ground. Doesn't, not sharp side up, it's more of like the blunt side of the axe comes down and just crushes Tosa into the ground. And then Bonnie and everybody are like, what? Giants? Because they had no idea. They didn't have a high vantage point. They didn't see the giants arriving. So Bonnie and Frankie and Atlas just look up and be like, oh, giants are here. Okay. And so then, boom, we have Dory and Broggy arriving on the scene. Ga-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. All right, well, what do we got here? Well, we checked the bounty posters of the Straw Hat crew to make sure we knew all about the newest members. But I don't recognize anybody here. You friends of Luffy? Who are you guys? So, they wouldn't recognize Atlas. They wouldn't recognize Kuma. They wouldn't recognize Bonnie. Frankie is there, but, I don't know if you can see it in the screen. Yeah, no, you can. You can. Frankie, yeah, it didn't work out too well. Even the previous wanted poster was the Frankie Shogun. So Frankie, actually, as he is right now, post-time skip, has never actually appeared on a bounty poster before. So the Giants would be like, oh, dang. I don't recognize anybody on, Luffy's crew. Dory, what do you think we should do? I think they're enemies. And he's like, no, that doesn't happen. They actually managed to convince them pretty easily. Frankie does tell them, like, oh yeah, that's my captain, Luffy, you know him? Because they wouldn't know him. And he's just like, oh no, we're not enemies of Luffy or anything. We owe him nothing but gratitude. We're warriors from Elbaf. And so, they convince the Giants to help them out. Bonnie talks to them a little bit and mentions Luffy and Sanji and Vegapunk, and Dory's like, oh, those names Broggy mentions, oh, those names take me back, yes. Because remember, like, way back at Little Garden, when the Straw Hats first met Dory and Broggy, it was only the original 5 Straw Hats, up to Sanji, plus Vivi as well. Karu also met the Giants. Let's not forget about Karu here. But yeah, Chopper didn't even join yet. So Chopper, Robin, Frankie, Brook, Jinbei, they wouldn't know anything about the Giants. Well, they would have heard about them from Usopp. In fact, Frankie even mentions here in the next panel, are these the masters that Usopp's always going on about? So Usopp and Frankie, they definitely work together in the Sunny, making up new gadgets and fixing things, and Frankie probably teaching Usopp a thing or two about engineering and mechanical work, and they're just hanging out late at night one night and just be like, hey, Frankie, did I ever tell you the time I met these giants on this jungle island filled with dinosaurs? Super, Usopp! Tell me all about it! It's basically like that kind of, right? So, they're like, oh yeah, Vegapunk, he's the one that Scholar mentioned. So they're referencing, I guess, Saul here, like Saul living at Elbaf, and he was the scholar with the books and everything. Because considering also, Saul wasn't much of a scholar, he was a Vice-Admiral, but also he was not an Elbaf giant. So from the perspective of, and I'm sure he's done some reading since then, it's been 20 years now, over 20 years, but from the perspective of Dory and Broggy, who are warriors of Elbaf, and they fight in battle, and that's all they've ever known, really. Saul, who is a giant that's not from Elbaf, who's living in a library reading books, he would be a very bookwormy scholar giant from the perspective of Dory and Broggy, right? Like anybody that reads a book would probably be a scholar from Dory and Broggy's perspective, because that's just not the kind of lives they live, right? Well, anyway, one of the giant warrior pirates, we don't know the guy's name, but a big dude with a beard, a couple of them actually, are like, all right, Captain, we'll make sure these guys get back to the ship. So they're going to take Atlas, Kuma, Frankie, and Bonnie back to their the Viking longship. So they're in good hands, I guess. When the Giants are helping you out, you're pretty much good to go, all right? So you don't have to worry about anything, right? So now we see the 2 remaining Vice-Admirals whose names we did not know about. We have Vice-Admiral Urban, who is the guy that has the underbite that kind of looks like oars a little bit, with the oars, ancient giant underbite, and the top hat. And his name's Vice-Admiral Urban, and he just mentions Tosa's line just went dead. Is he okay? And then you have the last one, the guy that has the big chin, and like the crimson chin, and he also has some zone ability to turn into like an otter, and use like a seashell to like bash people with. He's Vice-Admiral Pomsky. Okay, I be Vice-Admiral Pomsky! There you go. I'm assuming it's with a Russian accent. It sounds like it should be in a Russian accent. I don't know. But anyway, there's all the Vice-Admirals. So we got, let's see if I can get all of them. We got Dahl, we got Doberman, we got Bluegrass, we got Red King, we got Tosa, we got Urban, we got Pomsky, and we got Guillotine. There's one more. Oh, Hound. So there we go. 9. Lot of Marine Vice-Admirals named after dogs, now that I'm actually thinking about it. We have Dalmatian, who has the power of the Dalmatian zone. We have Doberman, who does not have the power of the Doberman zone. And now we have Hound. It's just a general term for dog. Release the hounds. You know, that kind of stuff, right? Well, anyway, Bluegrass is there using the power of the Ride fruit. She jumps on the back of a sea beast, of a sea giraffe, in fact, and she's like, well, all right, everybody, hop on, doll. We're going for a ride today. Yeehaw! And so Doll hops on the back of this sea giraffe, and Bluegrass and her have a bit of a conversation. He's just like, wow, this battle keeps flip-flopping one way or another. Wow, look at all these giants over here now. I'm just going to give her a southern accent because that's what I think she has. Bluegrass, okay. And Doll is like, yeah, I know about giants. My commanding officer a little over 20 years ago was a giant, in fact. And then Bluegrass is like, 20 years ago? Oh, shucks, you must be talking about Saul. Oh, he was a tough cookie. Too bad he died in that frozen ice pop accident. So, she doesn't actually mention that he's dead, but, you know, past tense referring to Saul the giant. So Doll was there at O'Hara, maybe? Well, maybe not, because, yeah, Vice-Admiral Saul was... okay, so it's like a whole thing, but Vice-Admiral Saul captured Olvia and then eventually ended up talking to her while she was imprisoned at a Marine base, I think, learning about the fact they're not really devils and, you know, like, oh, you shouldn't listen to the world government and everything they tell you. Researching the Void Century should not be banned. We're not trying to overthrow the government or anything. And then eventually... Saul defects and allows Olvia to escape from, I don't know if it was Marineford or just a base, but somewhere. And then he gets on a raft and goes out to sea and then just coincidentally happens to shipwreck at O'Hara. So it's just this crazy turn of fate where it's like Saul helps Olvia escape and they're both going separate ways, but they both end up at O'Hara eventually, right? And so it's possible that even if Doll served under Saul, that she might not have been there at O'Hara. But then again, Saul's ship was one of the ships that was scheduled to buster call the island, so I'm assuming she was probably there. I mean, Doll looks like, I mean, maybe in her 40s, like, you know, maybe late 40s, maybe very early 50s. Then again, this is One Piece where Shaki is in her mid-60s, late 60s, and she looks like she's in her 20s. So Doll could be anywhere from 40 to 60. Either way, she looks fantastic. And 20 years ago, though, would have probably been when she... wasn't even an officer in the Marines yet, I would assume. Maybe she was like Tashigi's rank at the beginning of the series. She was like a Master Chief Petty Officer or something like that, maybe. But at any rate, she knows Saul, and so this is going to tie back into stuff. Maybe Doll's going to go to Elbaf and meet Saul again. Man, I'm okay with more Doll in this story. I'm just saying that. I'm okay with more Bluegrass. She's actually kind of fun. Yeehaw, everybody, hop on this giant sea giraffe. We're going on a rodeo. Yeehaw! It's like, yeah, sure, why not? Okay, cool. So the Giants are carrying Frankie and Atlas and Kuma, and they're like, all right, well, where are the other members of your crew there, little fellas? And it's like, well, they're up there in the labo phase. And it's like, oh, the lab? Is that a sky island? Well, kinda. All right. Well, we gotta figure out some way up there then. And so the Giants, I guess, are gonna try to figure out a way up to the lab phase and then grab everybody else and then get the hell out of there, right? So now we come back over to the battle. Yeah, that's right, there was a battle going on. Saturn has returned after being knocked away by Luffy and then meeting the Blackbeard pirates. He has scuttled his way back over to the battlefield. And now he looks a little bit more monstrous. He just turns into a giant spider. So, yeah. Most likely now, it's pretty much, he has a mythical zone of some variety. I mean, most people were probably like, yeah, no duh, he has a mythical zone. Well, I don't know. So, that was his hybrid that we saw earlier with the spider body on the lower end and then his human form up there with his, like, horns sticking out. Now he's, like, going full spider. And his beard kind of just turns into the flames around him. So now he has like flames igniting on his back, very similar to a Lunarian, in fact. He still has the ribbon around him. He has the horns. They're more pronounced, though. His eyes are more insect-like, or I guess arachnid-like, because spiders aren't insects. But like big, giant eyes. And he's not even saying anything anymore. He's just like, they're like menacingly attacking them, right? He's not even talking anymore. Like, I've had enough of you puny insects. It's just like, you call us puny insects, but you're a giant spider. Spiders aren't insects! It's a very touchy subject. Don't bring that up to Saturn, okay? Spiders are not insects! You're worse than a spider! He just attacks them. I don't know. So Sanji, they're trying to get Vegapunk out of there, right? Because Vegapunk got stabbed, and he's just like, just leave me be. If you move me, I'll probably, hemorrhage and die. And Sanji's just like, well, we gotta get you off this island. You wanted us to get you out of here, right? We promised you. And Vegapunk's like, yeah, that was before I have a very massive, stomach wound. Anyway, it's okay. I've made my bed and now I've left in it. Or I've slept in it, or whatever the expression is. I don't know. Quasar, I'm dying. Anyway, just take care of Bonnie for me. You can change my promise to that, because I didn't expect to tell her about the whole Pacifista thing until a little later, because now everybody's going to be trying to kill her because she's the ultimate commander of an entire Terminator army. But yeah, just make sure to keep her safe, okay? Sanji, though, is not going to leave Vegapunk behind. I mean, they're not just going to leave him there on the ground to get trampled by Saturn, all right? So Sanji's like, we're gonna make sure you get out of here, old man Vegapunk. Don't worry about it. So Sanji's kind of looking over at Saturn. He's like, well, he looks like he's given up on looking even something similar to a human. Number one, he has a very strange look in his eye. Like Saturn has kind of gone over to like if going full mythical yokai is something that maybe warps your mind a bit, like remember with the carnivorous zones. The carnivorous zones, like with Rob Lucci, when you go into your full like animal form, like leopard form, you get a little bit more bloodthirsty, like meat, that kind of stuff. Blood, viscera, that kind of shit, right? Might be the same deal with mythical zones. Luffy, when he goes into his sun god Nika form, he's a little bit wacky, and he's like, everything is funny now, It's like, okay, changing his personality up a bit. Might be the same thing with Saturn, where Saturn in this form doesn't really talk. He's all business, okay? And Sanji also mentions his entire body is covered with venom, and we see that, like, one of the spider legs touches a tree, and the tree just dissolves, just like when Magellan was using his venom demon, okay? Or, I guess to a lesser extent, remember Talaran, the giant spider zombie from Thriller Bark? I miss Talaran. He was a cool guy. He was a spider guy. Anyway, so now they're fighting against this guy. They're fighting against Saturn, and Saturn just kind of ooh, and then just like fires all of the legs at everybody. Sanji picks up Vegapunk. He's like, Luffy, dodge it! Luffy's like, haha, okay, no problem, Sanji. Woo, woo, woo! And Luffy's just dodging all of the poison spider legs. No big deal. Unfortunately, as Sanji's picking up Vegapunk and trying to get away, Kizaru shows up, kicks him in the jaw. Sanji drops Vegapunk. Kizaru takes his light sword and just stabs him right through the stomach. It actually looks like in the same place that Saturn stabbed him. So hey, look, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a surgeon. I don't know anything about medical science or whatever. But I'm just saying, if you already got stabbed in a spot, and like his kidney was like completely destroyed, if you had to choose any place to get stabbed again, I mean, you might as well pick the spot that was already has a hole in it, you know what I mean? I mean, that has to minimize the damage a little bit, right? Like, I'm just saying, if he has no kidney anymore, getting stabbed in the same spot isn't gonna double kill his kidney. He'll be fine. Don't worry about it. The 65-year-old man is stabbed twice. You're good. But anyway, yeah, it's very brutal. And so Kizaru's just, he's gone over to the dark side at this point. He's Darth Kizaru. Don. He has a lightsaber. That's all I'm saying. Wait, where's my lightsaber at? Do I have my lightsaber? Where did my lightsaber go? Aw, man. Every time you need the lightsaber, you don't have it. Yeah, okay, well, did anybody find my lightsaber? Please let me know. Okay, well, anyway, Kizaru stabs Vegapunk. He goes down again. Luffy is like, no, Apple, Grandpa, no, not you. And so, Sanji, get going. You gotta get back to the entrance. Sanji picks up Vegapunk again. He's like, oh, dude, I'm sorry. You're losing a lot of blood. It's okay. We have a reindeer. He'll help you. And he's dead. He's not dead. Vegapunk doesn't die, but he's not looking too good, right? So, last scene of the chapter, Luffy gets serious. Double page spread. This is some pretty cool shit. Luffy goes into his giant form, which, honestly, the giant form hasn't had a great track record. The first time he went into his giant form, he got bit in the nuts by Kaido. But anyway, goes into his giant form, grabs Kizaru with his right arm, crushes him, and then he can't really grab all of Saturn because Saturn's this giant spider now, but he kind of like presses his, hand right up against Saturn's face and kind of like holds him down and just like, you two, there's no way I'm letting you guys escape. And Luffy just has this crazy Gear 5th look in his eye, and he's crushing Kizaru, and Kizaru's coughing up blood. Oh, God. And Saturn's just like, and then so, last scene of the chapter though, dude, I want you to understand, this is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels. And they're 5 panels off the side. Like, it's a double page spread, and Luffy going into his giant form takes up, like, 75% of it. But way in the corner of this page, just this one little area of a bunch of little panels, nothing really that crazy, is one of the most significant things in all of One Piece right here that is being set up, okay? So, Sanji's having like a war moment where he's like, Vegapunk, don't you die on me, you son of a bitch! And he's running with him. And so Vegapunk's like, hey, and then he's smiling. So first of all, you immediately think of when somebody with the Will of D dies, they have a smile on their face. Maybe Vegapunk did have the Will of D and we just didn't know about it. We didn't know his full name. His full name was Albert D. Vegapunk. All right, there it is. But anyway, he's smiling, and Sanji's just like, what are you smiling about? What's going on here? And then we cut to the labo phase. In a secret lab, some computers begin to turn on. Like beep, boop, beep, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. Like certain protocols have been reached. And then you have a recording of Vegapunk appearing on the screen. Yes, Quasar, mic check, test 1, 2, 3, okay. Attention world, hello there. My name is Dr. Vegapunk, the world's greatest and most humble scientific genius, Quasar. I'm sure this message will come as a shock to most of you out there, but please bear with me. I'm about to tell you the truth of the entire world. Quasar! No break next week. End of the chapter. Oh my God, right? Oh boy! Oh, Vegapunk! Alright. Okay, anybody that says any shit about Vegapunk, like, oh man, Vegapunk, he should have seen this coming, or Vegapunk could have prepared better for this. Oh no! No, he prepared for this. He prepared for this, okay? And it's something I just realized. Wait a minute. There's telecommunications equipment in the One Piece world. They have Den Den Mushi. In fact, they actually have radios, because the Germa, maybe it's something just for the Germa, but the Germa just use regular radios and stuff. But like, Vegapunk was in his lab one night, and he's working away, and there was even a moment way back at the beginning of Egghead. Remember this? When Shaka was having a conversation with Dragon, and he was like, I'm gonna die soon. Part of being a scientist knows that I can kind of see when I'm gonna die. So Vegapunk recorded this, maybe only a couple of days before the Straw Hats showed up. He recorded this message of like, if I ever die, like if Punk Records ever detects my heart dying or my heart failing, this is going out to the whole world. Because Vegapunk is like, you know what? I don't want to die, but if I am dying and I'm gone, the whole world is knowing about this. The whole world is learning about... Now, I don't know exactly what all he's going to tell, because... dude. Vegapunk went to Ohara, not Ohara, but he was at Ohara, but he also went to Elbaf and got all those books from Saul. I don't think the scholars at Ohara knew every single detail about the Void Century. That's going to be left until Robin finds the Rio Poneglyph. But they knew a lot. And Vegapunk knew a lot. He knew that the Ancient Kingdom was very advanced. He knows the name of the Ancient Kingdom because Clover knew about it. So you know Clover wrote that down at some point. So they're probably going to reveal the name of the Ancient Kingdom. The Ancient Kingdom was technologically advanced. The government were the bad guys that ruined this Ancient Kingdom and brought us back to the Middle Ages and now have ruled over the world with an iron fist for the last 800-something years. He's not going to be able to know everything about it, but everything he does know is about to be broadcast without restraint all over the world. And there's nothing the government can do about this. They don't have enough Cypherpole agents for this. They might try to pull as many plugs as possible, like go into the town and destroy all the Den Mushies, kill all the snails! You know, maybe they could try, but they're not stopping this. It's not happening. They have a whole telecommunications psychic snail network. I don't think there's any way that you could just flip a switch and turn all the snails off. All right? There are certain Den Mushies that are the horned Den Mushies that jam other ones, that jam communications. But yeah, I don't think they have enough of those, right? So the entire world's going to learn about this, and all four blues, the Grand Line, everybody's going to learn about it. The government might be able to shut down certain areas, but you're not stopping it. It's just not happening, okay? The whole world, this is Vegapunk's last broadcast to the entire world. He's going out like a freaking goat, okay? It's happening. So, a lot of stuff in this chapter that's insane. This is the most insane, bar none. Like, it was cool to see Tosa's crunch ability, but this is what takes that cake. Holy shit, Vegapunk. He's like, yeah, you know, I'm not going out, you know, it's like, you know, I was thinking too small, like I said, with like the Isaac Netero, like Kuma has a nuke in his chest kind of thing. No, Vegapunk doesn't have a nuke in his chest. He has an international broadcast in his chest. That's what he has, I guess. He has like, oh no, my final attack is when my heart stops, the ham radio transmission happens. Information is the most deadly weapon. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god. Now, how is the world gonna respond to this? Think about this, right? You're in the South Blue. You're running a humble bakery. And you're like, oh, hello there, Mrs. Schmidt. How are you doing today? Oh, well, I'm doing okay. And on the counter at the bakery, there's a Den Mushi, I don't know, playing, you know, easygoing tunes. You know, there's radio, I guess. You know, they're playing the tunes or whatever. And like, well, can I have my croissants today? Oh, absolutely, Mrs. Schmidt. Just baked them fresh for you. And then the Den Mushi is like, hello, everybody. I'm Vegapunk, the greatest scientist in the world. Like, oh, that's Vegapunk. He's such a good man. What's he have to say about this? The world that you live in is an entire lie. Everything that you knew about the world government is a lie. They're all those horrible people. They've been trying to take over the entire world a long time ago. There was this ancient kingdom. We don't know its name, but here is its name anyway. This thing happened, and then it was a technologically advanced civilization, and then there was this guy named Joy Boy, and he was the will of deity attacked, and then the government was blah, 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 ancient weapons, and then everything going on, and the people live on the moon, and there's aliens, and there's this where devil fruits come from, and blah, 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 cipher, blah, blah, blah. Okay, anyway, there's the, my broadcast. Have a great day, everybody. I'm Vegapunk signing out. And then just static, and then a voice comes on at the end. It's like, this is the world government. Please disregard that last broadcast. It was an error. We now return you to South Blue Easy Listening. Okay. Yeah, all right then. Well, anyway, hey, the world had to find out at some point, right? Okay, so, yeah, I mean, that's like, that was Vegapunk's ultimate idea, was to create the internet. And then, like, with the internet, maybe then he thought he was going to reveal everything, but, like, that didn't really pan out. So it's like the next best thing is just radio broadcast, right? That's the review. A lot of stuff to go on off of this chapter. I got to get working on that. But, yeah, I really just want to get this out as quickly as possible to everybody. So thanks for watching, and see you back here next week, because there's no break. Oh, boy. Oh, man. Who's going to be, dude... I want Oda to show all over the world everybody's reactions. You know how, like, when the Straw Hats got their bounties at Ennie's Lobby and we cut to all the hometowns? I want to see that, but I also want to see, like, everybody. I want to see Gaimon and Garfunkel, his wife, hanging out on the island of rare animals and a Den Mushi just broadcasting this to them. I want to see Gaimon's reaction to this. I want to see Foxy's reaction to this. I want to see the reaction from the revolutionaries. I want to see the reactions from the Marines back at Shellstown. I want to see the reaction of Kuro. I want to see the reaction of the prisoners. I want to see, what's Doflamingo gonna do when he hears about this? Doflamingo is gonna be immediately full mast erection and just like, just like, oh my god. Doflamingo might just, from sheer excitement from hearing this news, might just be like, all right, it's time for me to break out of this joint. And he just, like, breaks the sea prism just from sheer adrenaline. And then like, all right, I need to get out there in the world now. This is getting good. I'm not missing this shit. All right. Oh, man. All right, but I want to see that. I want to see next chapter. I don't even need to see Egghead. I don't need to see Luffy continue the fight with Kizaru and Saturn. Next chapter, I just want to see, 18 pages, small panels in every one, just everybody in this story, just from start to finish, and their reactions to hearing this. That's all I want, Oda. That's all I want. I want to see Cricket and the Sarayama Alliance at Jaya, or actually, no, they're out at sea right now. They're actually looking for the Land of Dreams. That's actually happening with them. But I want to see them hear this message. I want to see the Southbird hear the message. I want to see Eyelashes the Camel hear this message. I want to see Scissors the Crab hear the message. Like, what? What? I want to see Getatsu at the hot spring resort hearing the message. Like, That's what I want to see in my One Piece, damn it. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. TechIg signing out. Damn straight.